At family dinner, my son insulted me before his wife. My response shocked them all. The first insult landed softly, so softly that for a moment I wondered if I had imagined it. We were seated around the dining table, the same old wooden table that had seen birthdays, exam results, laughter, tears and prayers whispered over plates of simple food. The aroma of home-cooked dinner filled the room. I had spent hours preparing everything myself, despite my aching knees and stiff fingers, because that's what mothers do. We cook, we serve, we smile. My son Ayan sat at the head of the table beside his wife Zara, newly married, confident, a little too confident. As I reached forward to place another serving dish on the table, Ayan chuckled and said, loud enough for everyone to hear, "Ami, you don't need to fuss so much. This isn't the old days. Zara is used to better arrangements." The room fell quiet. Not silent, quiet in that uncomfortable way where everyone hears the words but pretends not to. I froze for half a second, my hand still holding the spoon. Better arrangements. I smiled gently and sat down as if nothing had happened. Inside, something cracked. You see, I had raised Ayan alone after his father passed away. I worked double shifts, stitched clothes late at night, skipped meals so he could eat well. I sold my jewelry so he could go to a good college. I never complained, never reminded him of my sacrifices. Love, I believed, did not keep accounts. But that night at that table, I realized something painful. My silence had taught him that I would always accept disrespect. Zara glanced at me briefly, then looked away, a small smile on her lips. Not cruel, just indifferent. To her I was background furniture. Useful, replaceable. The conversation resumed. Zara talked about expensive restaurants, overseas trips, and how standards matter in life. Ayan nodded eagerly, occasionally adding comments that felt like quiet knives aimed in my direction. "Ami doesn't really understand these things," he said once, laughing. "She's simple." Simple. The word echoed in my head. After dinner, as everyone moved to the living room, I began clearing the table. Old habits die hard, plates clinked softly as I stacked them. My hands trembled, not from weakness but from the storm building inside me. Then Ayan said the sentence that changed everything. "Ami, next time don't serve food like this in front of Zara's friends. It's embarrassing." Embarrassing. I stopped. Slowly I put the plate down. I turned around and looked at my son, the child I once held against my chest during thunderstorms, promising him the world would never hurt him. My voice was calm when I spoke, too calm. "Ayan," I said, "come sit." Everyone sensed the shift. Zara straightened. My sister-in-law stopped mid-sentence, the air grew heavy. Ayan looked annoyed but sat. I did not raise my voice, I did not cry. "I want to tell you a story," I said, "just one." He rolled his eyes slightly but said nothing. "When you were 8 years old," I began, "you wanted a school bag with a cartoon character. It was expensive. I didn't have the money. That month I pretended I wasn't hungry for days so I could save enough." Ayan shifted uncomfortably. "When you were 16, you failed an exam. You cried all night. I sat outside your room until morning, praying you wouldn't lose hope." Zara's smile faded. "And when you got married," I continued, "I gave everything I had, my savings, my jewelry, my energy, so you could start your new life without worry." I paused. "You call me simple," I said softly, "but simplicity is what built the life you now find embarrassing." The room was completely silent. I took a breath. "From today," I said, "I will no longer cook meals where I am disrespected. I will no longer clean messes where my dignity is ignored. And I will no longer stay silent when my self-respect is questioned." Ayan stood up. "Ami, you're overreacting." I raised my hand. "No," I said, "I am finally reacting." I turned to Zara. "You are my son's wife. You deserve respect," I said. "But remember, respect is learned by watching. If he disrespects his mother, one day he will forget how to respect you too." Zara looked down. Then I did something they never expected. I picked up my shawl and my purse. "I'll be staying with my sister for a few days," I said calmly. "Use this time to decide what kind of family you want to be." I walked out. Behind me, no one spoke. That night, I slept peacefully for the first time in years. 3 days later, Ayan came to see me. He looked different, tired, quieter. He sat in front of me and said, "Ami, I didn't realize." I looked at him and saw not a man, not a husband, but my child finally awake. "I don't need apologies," I said. "I need respect." He nodded, tears in his eyes. When I returned home, things were different, not perfect, but different. Ayan spoke carefully. Zara helped in the kitchen, small gestures but sincere. And I learned something important. Love does not mean tolerating humiliation. Sacrifice does not mean losing self-worth. And silence, when abused, becomes permission. Moral: respect is not demanded by age, it is earned by boundaries. Even the most loving hearts must protect their dignity, because teaching others how to treat you is also a form of wisdom.